Welcome back, fellow passengers. Happy early Christmas and Hanukkah to all of you of our listeners. If you don't follow either, then happy holidays all the same. You still get to enjoy the time off and whatnot, and most people do. I'm your host, BusyBee. I brought a special present for everyone. It's my co-host, hijinx. I've coaxed her into yet another episode. Sorry, she's not gift wrapped. She kept shredding the wrapping paper.
Just like just like my kitty cat.
Rare. So trivia time. Christmas with the Cranks came out this year. And it's a pretty hilarious movie about a couple trying to get out of doing everything Christmassy in a town that thinks that they are like the Christmas gods. So,
I
and it kind of reminds
don't
me
think I've
of
ever watched that.
how Hijinx doesn't want to be in these episodes, and everyone keeps like following them, and I'm following her, and it's just hanging wreaths on her
It's like
door, trying to tell her to come back to the episodes.
it's like you think you belong to me or something.
I'm your child, you will love me. But did you know that this was the first Christmas movie with Tim Allen that wasn't a part of the Santa Claus franchise? He's he's done 5 Christmas movies in total so far that I could find. The first 3 were all the Santa Claus, and then it was this one, and then like Christmas at El Camino or something like that. So
No
it
idea.
just shows that he's extremely dedicated to the Santa Claus and all the Christmas stuff. I can't
You
think of
sure there's
anyone
not
else
a,
who has that many credits.
is there a Pure Michigan commercial that's Christmas oriented?
Probably.
Well,
I guess there's
considering
a.
where we were from originated, we saw a lot of those Pure Michigan
Oh my God,
commercials.
there's so
So,
many. I'm within spitting
but
distance of
that's
Michigan, and it's just nonstop.
that's
I hear
his
his voice.
voice. So I don't know. Now you're gonna have to do more research now to see if there's a Christmas oriented one.
I'm gonna have to. Sorry, guys, I didn't do enough research, I guess. But it's funny. There's also a couple of references. One of them was to Tool Time. He
Of
mentions
course.
something about a flight, and he says 6,100. Or no, that's how much they spent on Christmas the previous year. It was 600 $100. And I guess all of his like things in Tool Time was a tool with 6,100 in it.
Pff.
And then talking to his neighbor, it was something. One of them said,
Howdy,
"Who?"
neighbor.
No,
Howdy,
one of
neighbor.
them said, "Who are you gonna call?" His neighbor is Dan Aykroyd. For those of you who don't know, that's a Ghostbusters
Love
reference.
Dad.
Enough with all this nonsense. It's time we need to dive into this week's episode, which was titled Special. This is Lost Ate My Podcast. Hello,
Nom nom
hijinks.
nom 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 nom.
When this comes out, I will be tackling you.
Smothering me with your
Smothering.
love.
With all the things. Blankets might be involved for the smothering. Kidnapping. We'll see.
Blankets, pillows.
We're going for
I may
natural
not be
smothering.
alive when this when this airs. There's a good chance. Oh, that's inappropriate. In
There's
a
gonna be
black
two
humor kind of way,
episodes
that's inappropriate.
there's gonna be 2 episodes that come out posthumously for hijinks because we're recording 2 tonight.
What?
What?
Huh? What?
Sorry, sorry stuff. So this episode was about Michael
Slash Walt.
and Walt.
The special refers to Walt.
Mhm.
Special.
Yeah, so-
He's special.
Also, God, I can't remember her actual name. She plays Camille in
Yes,
Bones.
Tamara Taylor.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Such a bad word in this episode. Like, who
Yeah, she's
does
like,
that?
well, and let's just face it, the dude she married also
Douche.
not the best dude.
Sorry.
D-bag, definitely of the first degree.
Highest
Yeah,
order.
so are you going to do your spoiler alert thing or what?
Oh no, the spoiler was already come and
You're did
gone.
okay.
I told them to
Spoilers.
watch. It's this week's episode is special, and they had to deal with it.
Okay.
Tough.
Anyway, so yeah, first her whole thing about hey, taking your son to Amsterdam. Oh, by the way, me and Brian are getting married, so why don't you give up all your parental duties and just deal
Yeah,
with the fact that you're never going to see your son again?
it was just a
Because
very slow
that's
decline of
that's what's best for your son.
It
So
started with the whole,
Michael,
I'm not going to marry you. I'm going to move to Amsterdam. I'm going to take our kid because I didn't marry you for a job. He calls to talk to her, and Brian's on the phone,
hmm.
implying that they're sleeping together. Her boss, Brian. And then she calls and say,
Oh
"Oh,
yeah,
by the
'cause it's when
way,
they're about to move to Rome. That's when she's like, "Oh, by the way,"
mhm,
that's when she's like, "Give up all your parental rights. It's
yeah,
best for
I'm gonna marry
Walt."
him." He wants to adopt Walt, and he's been sending him letters like all the time, and he just and I think it's really sweet that at least she saved the letters and then just trash them. But still, those were not hers to hoard.
Hers to hoard.
Those
Anyway,
letters to Walt, that is ridiculous.
yeah. But then, of course, Brian turns out to it obviously proves that her and Brian were meant for each other. They were obviously two peas in a pod because as soon as she kicked the bucket, he was like, "Oh, by the way, really don't want your son."
He's
I'm
weird.
I was just thinking that I mean they had a nanny, so obviously he wasn't like too much into the parenting part of it and was like, I'm thinking you can have your son back because I wasn't really in it for the parenting aspects. It was just because that's what she wanted, and I
Oh, I
didn't want
bet
to
he
look
wanted to
bad.
be a dad, but it was Walt who's special, and he couldn't handle that.
Oh, well, no, I don't think he ever wanted to be a dad. I mean, he pretty much said the only reason he did it was because she wanted him to do it. He was like, oh, okay. But yeah, then Walt started freaking him out with his
He's like, man,
kinetic
maybe this parenting thing
powers,
isn't for me. Ugh. Also,
his ability to kill birds.
love the fact that Michael's whole get back at Brian was to take the dog. Brian said you could have him. What's Brian gonna do? Say no? He's not here. We're taking the dog.
Dude, I don't think Brian wanted the dog either. I think being responsible for anything but Brian seemed to be out of his realm.
He's just, whoosh, no. But every time I think about that scene, I imagine like Jennifer Coolidge from Legally Blonde. I'm taking the dog.
Oh wow, that was a pretty good impression.
Thanks.
I'm impressed with your impression. I'm impressed with your impression.
Look, I've got very few impressions down. I can do Stitch, and that's about it.
For anybody that sounds like Stitch.
Or anyone who sounds like in that general realm, I can usually get the voice to go close.
Anyone who sounds like they're about to choke.
Gollum.
Yeah, there you
Gollum.
go. Yeah. So anyway, that's there was this one. No, that's the next one. I was
What
trying
is
to think if there was
alternate?
something else in this episode that I was trying to think of. No, I was trying to think of there's something in this episode that I just had no. Well, Michael like absolutely losing it on everybody. I mean, he does kind of prove that he has not been parenting at all for the past 9 years.
Yeah, no, he
And he's
wanted to. He
losing his,
really wanted to, but
I mean, when he was losing it with Locke, or, every time Walt disappeared, he's like freaking out.
well, now we can kind of understand that because last time
He has
Walt,
no idea what he's doing.
well, no, the last time Walt disappeared, it was with some random guy who didn't take care of him, and he doesn't want to lose Walt to some other random father figure. He has like
Well, I mean, and he's
PTSD from
he's
it,
trying.
basically,
Well, yeah, I mean, and he's trying to prove
that he can do it.
in a universal kind of way that he could have taken care of Walt if his wife hadn't been such a biatch, or no, not wife,
Mm.
but mother, the mother of his child,
The
that,
Bitka.
that she could have trusted him with Walt, that he could have been a father to Walt the whole time. So yeah, he's trying to prove, quote unquote, to himself, to everybody, you all, everybody,
You
that
all,
he's capable,
everybody.
that he knows what he's doing, and yeah, he hasn't had a lick of fathering experience in the past 9 years, but hey, he can be insta dad. This is
Yeah.
easy peasy stuff.
Last thing I knew he wanted was a crib.
Yeah,
I can
and not
manage
like a
this.
house, but like an actual baby crib. Not an
We want-
MTV crib, but a baby crib.
Can it be an MTV baby crib?
There were some of those on MTV, but Anyway, so yeah, that was the first backstory on Michael, right?
Yes.
Or was it? Yeah, that was the first one on
That was
Michael.
definitely the first one. I know there's gonna be more in the future, but as of right now, that's the only one we have. And it just goes to show how dedicated he was to Walt, even though he wasn't there. But because he also wasn't there, he has no idea how to be a dad.
Well, I mean, and it shows why he is. I mean, it was again a good, piece of the puzzle to have because it explains why he is such a jackass when
Hmm.
it comes to Walt and where Walt is and what he's doing because he's overcompensating for the fact that he has
He
not actually
isn't where he
been,
was.
yeah, that he has not actually been Walt's legal father, legal guardian of Walt
Hmm.
for the past 9 years. And so he's still like catching up and he's overcompensating for the fact that he has not actually been in this position. So, and hey, as soon as I take custody, I'm gonna get in a plane crash.
Woo! I'm Father of the Year.
These aren't extenuating circumstances at all. This is totally normal. This would happen to anyone. But yeah, so I mean, it gives that extra piece of the puzzle so you know what's going on. Anyway, so but yeah, finding the box and him showing all the cars and pictures, and it gives an extra layer to bringing Walt around a little bit to understanding who his dad is and that he did care the whole time.
Hmm.
So yeah,
So I find it interesting that there's another polar bear on the item island.
there were
There's
more.
well, because we shot the first one. Okay, maybe there's just one on the island. But now there's been two. And it reminds me of that one quote from the Phineas and Ferb show from a while back, Dr. Doofenshmirtz. If I had a nickel every time that this happened, I'd have two nickels. Which isn't strange, but it's the fact that it happened twice.
But you remember why, right?
Yeah, no, I remember why. But as someone who had watched it originally, the fact that there's now been at least two polar bears on this island, it's strange that we now have two nickels for every polar bear that we've seen.
Doofus.
No,
Yeah. But
Doofenshmirtz.
I mean, it just means we're getting closer. Well, it's getting closer to the end of what episode are we on? Was that 13?
I think that was 14. Because I'm
14.
pretty sure I've been. I can
Oh,
count
look,
my
there's,
Google Docs pages for my opening sequences.
by the way, I mean,
14 is
I don't
special.
think this is a spoiler, but there's like 25 episodes in the first season.
Yep.
Because,
We're not even
so,
halfway, folks, of the first season. Oh, speaking of which, we mentioned this off recording last week, but we are
wait,
now officially off sync schedule because
well, you
they
mentioned this
took.
because
I know
I
I
didn't
mentioned it
realize
to
we
you,
were.
but we didn't put it in the thing. Because we're not taking a winter break. They did. So as of now, from here on out, we're gonna be off sync. But for the first 11 episodes,
There is not a single person who is paying attention to that but you.
yeah, it bothers me that some of them actually came out on the wrong day because I was publishing them on Saturday instead of Sunday. But I fixed it.
You're
That
the only one who cares.
if you're a nerd like me, please comment. Let me know. I need to find
You're
my
the only
fellow
one.
nerds. Shut up, mom.
I love you too. Your cousin would care if she would had the time to be obsessed right now with this as you are. I think I know she's got another friend that she's got started on Lost, so I think she's watching with
Susan,
her right
that was
now.
the mom's name. There we go. Just trying to remember this whole time.
Because you were calling her Camille.
I was calling her Camille.
And you threw me off because then I couldn't remember what her name was. No,
Look,
yeah,
I've watched a lot more Bones than I have because there's 12 seasons of Bones. There's 6 seasons of
exactly.
Lost, and she's in one, maybe two episodes.
Exactly.
I don't remember how many flashbacks they do with her there, but let's see.
Uh-huh.
Just scanning through. Oh, they date well, like the time frame. It's day 26 on the island. It's October 17th at this starts
Oh, right now.
in the episode. I didn't realize that somebody was
Well,
doing that. And you called me a nerd.
oh no, honey. I am well aware of. the ridiculousness of some of the people who follow the show. I had front row seats, remember?
Ugh.
One of
But
the
I
reasons why
thought
it
it
was so
was.
hard for you. It's one of the reasons why it was so hard for you to talk me into this.
I
But
am you
was
crazy.
this my idea or was this your idea? This was your idea, wasn't
This was me,
it? Okay.
because I knew you had some
That's right.
podcasting experience, and I knew I had a husband who could do the
Yes.
technical.
You had a husband. What'd you do with him?
Don't ask. He's
Don't
asleep on
ask,
the
don't
couch
tell.
right now.
Okay.
No, no, no.
That's
Okay,
right, because then it took me a couple days to respond.
so Charlie.
What's the next episode?
No, because he's going through Claire's diary.
Oh, the diary thing. That was really
Him
funny.
fighting
Him.
himself, trying to open the diary and shut it and setting it aside, walking away, coming back.
That is the most genuine reaction to finding someone's diary like ever. It was so funny. My problem though, is that the diary that Sawyer had, the diary he's doing that with, were two different books. Go back and watch it.
Ooh, continuity error.
The first one was like at least an inch thick, and the one that he's messing around with later is half that size. As a book person, I noticed those things.
I think I was a little distracted. I was tired. I think I watched these right before we recorded the last episode. I think we were getting ready to record.
But yeah. So that was the only thing that bothered me. But yeah, that was hilarious. And
But
just like him.
this is the first like real long discussion about Black Rock.
Which I had also totally forgot about until I started talking about it. And I was like, oh yeah, the
Yeah.
Black Rock.
Oh yeah, that thing. Weird. Like I remember they mentioned it like very briefly once, like an episode or two ago, when Saeed had mentioned the map. But besides that, I've totally forgot that I
I
guess
remember what the Black Rock is, but
I remember what
I
it is too,
mean,
but
it's just I mean, again, it's one of those
we are
things that
trying to
was
avoid
so long ago. Then it was like, oh yeah, the Black Rock.
we forget how early everything shows up and how
Well, not
long it takes
that,
for
not
other
just
things.
that. I mean, it's just one of those things. The show is so dense
It is.
with stuff. Like I said, I mean, that was the beauty of the fuselage, though, because literally, anything that got mentioned that um was something worthy of talking about. Like I said, the linear board just had, we that was always the continuous conversation about stuff. And if you wanted to know if somebody was talking about something on the linear board, I think you hit like the F something key and you could search. But if you really wanted to discuss stuff, you would go, something
In depth.
specific, you would just go to the threaded board and you could scroll down, because it would have stuff separated by episodes
Oh,
and you
that's
would
cool.
go in there and there would obviously be like, okay, let's discuss the Black Rock. And and then you would have everybody's theories in there about what you thought it would be. And so, I mean, you could easily have, every crazy theory about what people thought it was in there. And then, so and so said this, and then so and so said this, said no, 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 somebody said this, and then anyway, that was the beauty of the fuselage that I miss a lot.
Oh,
Mm.
mamacita.
It's
Um,
okay because all the friends that I made there, I am still friends with to this day, 20 years later, and I can't believe I just said 20 years. Holy crap.
yeah, it's been 20 years since these episodes came out. A little less as I'm off by a month now with these episodes, but still.
Well, I mean, I was just becoming friends with them about right now.
Right about
But I have
now.
been right about no, no, yeah.
Well, wait.
But yeah.
Now. There we go.
Well, because yeah, I was a, a week or two. Th- oh no, I was I on the fuselage by the first episode? I think I was.
Well, we talked about you weren't sure if you were there for the first episode, but you were definitely in by like two or three.
I wasn't there like right when it started. I like when because I think the fuselage was formed before the first episode aired. I mean, it had to have.
Hmm.
I'm trying to remember if I was on it. I might have, I think I got on it maybe right after. I'd have to go somewhere I have that. Somewhere I have when I joined the fuselage.
Mm.
Because it would have been because I would have my like member number and that's somewhere. I'll find it. Go ahead.
You need to. We need to dive deep into the fuselage soon. Let's see. Sorry, guys. It's
Starts
been
right
like
now.
a week and a half since I watched the episode. I'm trying to remember what all. Oh, they mentioned building the raft.
Yes. Oh, yep. That was the first mention of the raft, which again, something that was massively a
I
big
was gonna.
deal that I
I
totally forgot about.
I thought it was closer to the end of season one. I didn't realize they started so early.
Well, they had to because it was like a big ordeal, but I forgot that the linchpin was like that whole thing with Walt getting trapped by the polar bear,
Mm.
where Michael got freaked out and he was like, I'm not sitting around waiting for, us to get, where everybody else is talking about, you know, filtering water and building a garden. Like everybody else seems to be,
We want
we're
to
just going to
stay. He's like,
stay
I want
here.
to go.
Yeah, nobody's talking about finding a way off the island. And so he is, he's like, no, I want to get off this island. So we've got this
No,
stuff.
it's
And
not want.
and
That's
as
need.
yeah, and he as, someone who is does construction, he sees all this
Not
building
that he wants
material
to.
essentially. Yeah, he sees all this building materials left by the destruction of the airline, I mean the airplane, obviously.
Hmm.
Um, he decides to do something about it, and also he wants to be the hero in his son's eyes. He wants his son to look up to him,
Hmm.
for doing stuff, much like his son has been looking up to Locke this whole time because he could throw knives.
Hmm.
So,
Also, when Boone and Locke go to try to find Vincent at the end, and Locke keeps doing his little whistle thing he made, and Boone's like, I don't think it's working. Does your whistle not work?
by the way, it was hurting my ears, so obviously I'm a dog.
Well, yeah. And apparently it called not a dog, it called a Claire.
Eclair?
It called E Claire. A Claire. One singular Claire has appeared.
Called a Claire.
A Claire. Yeah, and a Claire.
Are you trying to say Claire is a Bicca?
No, I'm trying to call her a French pastry. Get it
French face.
right.
Well, I meant because she could hear the whistle.
I'm aware of what you said. I'm aware of how it was meant. I'm aware that I also had that thought a split second before you said
You
it.
had a sought?
I
How
saw
do you,
it.
you thought something and saw it at the same time?
Yep. That's how the mind, the inner eye works.
Yes, so we got Claire back, but she doesn't know who anybody is.
She's lucky she
All
knows
right,
who she is.
do you have a fandom topic?
No, we didn't pick one for
Groups?
let's see. Oh, one last thing I was gonna mention. It's a quote from Damon, our local nomad. So
The Nomad.
it says, we sort of have ideas. Gee, Walt's reading a comic book about polar bears and a polar bear shows up. Or Walt is reading a book about birds and a bird flies into the window. I know what I mean by it, but I think when the audience starts getting disconnected is when you tell them what to think, which is Walt is psychic. So there's no like definitive proof, maybe, but they were definitely like hinting that Walt maybe has some connection and that is why he is special. Because that
Oh,
whole thing about like, I want to do my report about this bird. Mom, mom, look at this bird. Mom, bird.
look at this bird that I just slammed up against this window.
The exact bird that he had been reading about.
Wow. That's
Ooh,
when Hey, and it worked out later because then Brian didn't want anything to do with him, and he ended up with his dad. See, that worked out.
And ended up on a plane that crashed. Yay!
Maybe he crashed the plane.
Maybe. I mean, I know the answer, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
let's. I didn't choose a fandom topic because we were busy.
so he killed the
Eh,
cat.
There's 9.7 thousand fan fictions written about Lost.
They were all Skater Jader. Oh, there was a lot of Charlie Clara ones. There was some Shannon Saeed.
Ooh, one
I
was
think
updated yesterday. It's still
there was
active.
some there was some Son Michael for a while. Who else did they have? Oh, and then they have later groupings like what's her face and Sawyer, the blonde, Juliet Sawyer when they came around.
Eh. So yeah, it's so people are still writing fan fictions. On the boards. Was there like ever a fandom section or a fan fiction section?
I don't think so.
Because I remember a
I don't know.
lot of boards from when I was that general age and I was allowed to go onto chat rooms. So a lot of like role playing because there were teeny boppers in there who wanted to play Jacob and Bella and all that fun stuff.
Did we have RPGs? I'm trying to remember.
And people would post their really crappy fan fiction left and right.
I think that
It had no
most of
grammatical
that
structure whatsoever.
happened. I think all that happened on fanfiction.net. I mean, I don't think there was no way to police that kind of stuff on the Lost boards.
Yeah, and some fan fiction really needs to be
Well, and see, the
policed.
other thing is that on the Fuselage, we had all the Lost stuff, but we also had like boards for not Lost. Like,
Ooh,
so if you were watching other, we had TVs, movies, other
probably a
stuff.
Grey's
So if
Anatomy
you,
section.
yeah, so we had like, if you were watching other stuff or wanted to talk about other stuff, we had another section of the board for that.
So it
So,
was mostly
like,
a
if you
lost
under,
community, but we understood that not everyone was solely lost.
yeah, so I mean, which is a way to keep people on the board if you wanted. That
Yeah.
way you could talk with the same people, but about other stuff. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
if you were a fan of Grey's
And
Anatomy, you could
create
go over to,
deeper friendships.
yeah. So that way you could still talk to the same people. And, if you had stuff you wanted to rec or if you wanted to talk about the latest Grey's episode or something, I can't remember. There would be some stuff. Um, there were some sections of that board that would be more frequented than others. Off the top of my head, I can't really remember what all was in there.
Now, my next question
It's,
is
it's
was
been,
there a place for like fan art?
I really don't remember if we had fan art or not.
Because I know people made the maps, but I'm wondering outside of just maps, was there any fan art created? Because I have tried not looking for things because I'm trying to avoid as many
Well, I
spoilers
mean,
as possible.
again, I mean, there wasn't really a way to post it on the site. I mean, people might have like in their little thing at the bottom of their bio or as their avatar. I mean, they might have links to their Deviant art
Oh dear Lord,
page
how
or
old is
something like that.
DeviantArt?
Old,
Now
as
I gotta
old
look this
as
up.
me.
It's not as old
It
as
would
you. Stop that. I'd be surprised if it's as old as me.
No, DeviantArt's there since a good 20 years or so at least. It's been there since
It's
DeviantArt's one
24
of
years
the
old.
OGs. You're welcome.
It's
How old Lost? 20. So yeah.
yeah, it's uh less than a month younger than Aba the artist. It started
Yeah, that's
it officially
yep.
launched
I
on
knew it was
August
pre I knew it was I knew it was at least a few years old by the time Lost is around. So yeah, people would like maybe put a link to their deviant art or whatever in their because you would have a signature kind of thing at the bottom of your so that every time you posted there would be like your signature and you could
10.
have
Yeah.
links in your signature. So you would
Oh
have
man.
you could have a link to your see and also LJ was very big live journal.
Oh,
So
I
a
was like
lot of us
LJ.
we called it LJ. It's now I still have an LJ account. I think I just got a notification that it was 20 years old. But it's owned by Russia now. Um, I still keep it because it's like my diary from back then. It has my full breakdown of like my entire DLA experiences, like a day by day thing. If I go
hmm
back there and read like my my live journal, I mean, I miss it so much. It was so much better than Facebook and all that shit.
Uh,
Um,
it was launched on April 15th of 99.
DeviantArt or LJ?
LJ. DeviantArt was 2000. So,
LJ was
like,
99.
it
I
beat
guess that's
out
about right.
DeviantArt by a year and 4 months and a week,
Yeah,
give or take.
yeah, LJ was amazing. I miss LiveJournal so much because that was where LJ is where like my alias group of friends and I were all on LJ and we would post stuff there. But yeah, so we would have anyway. So on LJ and on the fuselage and stuff, you would have you have your avatar, and then at the anytime you posted, you could have a signature appear, and in your signature, you would post some of your nonsensical stuff about who you shipped and
Oh,
you know
yeah.
different quotes and stuff in it or whatever. But you could also have links for like you could put your link for your live journal or your link for if you had a DeviantArt or you had link for whatever, you put all that in your signature too. So every time you posted, that would post with your every post you make. So people could find your other stuff.
Every
So
post you make, I'll be watching you. It just sounds like a mouthful to have all that stuff on your signatures all the time. But then again, I have an professional work email that has my whole my name, my extension,
well,
what office I'm out of, all that fun stuff.
when you get down here, remind me and we'll pull up my LJ and you can
Ooh.
see.
We're going digging, folks. You won't hear about it for another 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, well, I mean, I could just show you what some of it looked like. I'm not sure how much of it'll look. I don't think I had anything on my signature on LJ, but I'll see what I can pull up.
Just my
What are we going to talk? Are we
signature.
going do we have a fandom thing to talk about or not?
I think we're just talking about random sites that were around during that time because it seems to be a nice topic so far. What other sites were you guys using? Because we got DeviantArt, fanfiction, and LJ right now.
Fanfiction.net.
Because
I
Facebook
mean,
wouldn't
that
be
was
available for like another year to the
the funny
general
thing. The
public.
funniest thing is I remember the first person that I heard Facebook about from was Kiki, who on the fuselage she was K-Ball Get Lost. She was also one of my alias friends, so I knew her from
Is
two
she in the chat?
sites.
Is she in the Doom chat?
She, I, I added her. I don't know if she's been able to. She was only like 18 or so, 18 or 19 when she joined the fuselage. Now she's like married with two kids, of course. But yeah, she's one of my friends forever. So I mean, I added her. I don't know if she's had a chance to do anything in there yet, but remember Kiki talking about Facebook, and that was when Facebook, the only way that you could join Facebook is if you attended one of the colleges on the list.
Okay, well, Get Lost
And
is
there
in
was,
here.
yeah, that's Kiki. Um, she, the only way that she was the first person I heard mention Facebook. And I think it's because she was in college at the time or was about to be. But I think, yeah, I think that's right. I think she was the one I heard. But yeah, so I remember looking up Facebook and it listed you had to be attending one of the colleges that had Facebook because that's when it was literally just college kids talking
Hmm.
to each other. So, I mean, the literal beginnings of Facebook. So I couldn't join Facebook when it first came out because I went in there because I was going to join it, but I couldn't. But yeah, so I did join it. I mean, it wasn't long after that that it became, open to the public or whatever. So I was like a pretty early joiner of Facebook because I knew about it.
Oh, nice.
And it was funny because I remember Speaker and I both around the same time, we were upset because you had to use your real name. And I
Oh,
remember Speaker trying to use Speaker and it wasn't letting as his first name. It was like not because we were so, I mean, with all the sites that we were using, nobody was using their real names.
yeah, no.
I mean, I was hijinx and he was Speaker and, she was came out get lost. Nobody was using their real names. It was like
We're
we
not
were
using our
all
real names.
really, I was like, everybody was so worried about using Facebook was adamant you had to use your real name. And it was just like nobody wanted to. We was like, we don't want anybody knowing who we are. Anyway, that
You
was
anonymity on the internet, please.
yep. So I remember all that. I remember when Twitter first came out.
2006, I believe.
Yep. So it was a few years in. But yeah, the biggest so there was uh
You know what? I have the stats. I,
the
I
one
wrote it all down.
the one the one website that I miss just dreadfully is
What?
twop.
What did you what did you just call me?
Television Without Pity. And I've sent you
Okay,
links to Television Without Pity.
T-Wop.
Television Without Pity was, I mean, there was not a better, just, there was just not a better site to just tear apart shows. But they didn't just tear apart. I mean, it was the best snark site in the universe. And it was, if they had just never sold out to Bravo, who then immediately made it disappear. I mean, it
I hate
was,
big corporations that do that.
I
I just
think, I mean, I think I've sent you because I sent you the link to, um, because your BusyBee is a massive, massive fan of Supernatural. And I found there's an archive of it somewhere. And I sent you the seasons of Supernatural, a link to some of the Supernatural snark.
I gotta find it again. Whatever happened to that link?
Um, but it's written by people who know the show. And it's one of those things they snark because they love. It's like,
Oh yeah.
and the people who did the Buffy episodes and they did Lost and they did Alias and I mean, and sometimes they'd be a little harsh. But I mean, if you had one of the people who was really good at doing the snark, I mean, oh my gosh, I have never laughed so hard at some of the stuff they would. And sometimes, especially when it was getting later, when the show was on and probably shouldn't be on anymore, or there would be an episode that was, most TV shows, I'm not sure if you're aware or not, they have at least one episode that's kind of done by someone who's not part of the writer's room. It's like something they have to do with the union or something. So it's a little off. It's not quite canon, and you're not really sure. You're like, I don't recognize that name. Or it was something they had. I don't know if it's still in place anymore, but I kind of remember Javi telling me about it, or Rick, one of them, two of my writer friends. Anyway,
Love them both.
and those, huh?
I said I love them both.
Yes, they're. They're wonderful.
I love them
Um,
all.
I love them all. But it would inevitably be one of those episodes that would just get ripped to shreds. I mean, and it was, I mean, definitely you just would sit back and eat the popcorn and read. And
Oh,
I
the
mean,
Michael
people would
Jackson
just,
thing.
yes, that one. Um, oh God, I miss TWAP so much. If you can find the archives, I mean, I can't remember. Busy Bee should be Googling right now.
We
Need to
should
find out
make a
when.
petition to bring Twop back.
Oh no, you could not recreate TWAP right now. It's just not possible.
We can try.
Um,
Why don't you guys try in our Discord? The link is usually
you
at
know,
the bottom
there
of the
may be,
videos.
I mean, it was a, I mean, the site was, I would imagine, I don't know why it ever sold out to Bravo. I mean, it was, I wish they had. I mean, I think they were made a lot of promises about, oh, we're not going to touch it. You guys can keep going and doing what you want to do, what you do. But, you know, they were snarking on shows on Bravo. And I think they thought they were going to get control of that. Because, I mean, they were tearing apart some of those Real Housewife shows. Like, I mean, and not in a nice way. And I think they were going to get, I think they thought they were going to get control of that. And you could not control the people who are doing the snark. I mean, that's not how that works. And I think eventually they just shut it down. I mean, I don't remember. It's been a while, but I mean, I I was crying rivers, faucets when TWAP shut down. I mean, some of the Buffy, oh my God, Buffy, Angel, Alias. I'm trying to remember which other ones I read like religiously. Just some of the best critiques, sarcasm, snark. I mean,
Oh, so
in the
good.
universe. If you can find any of those, I mean, I highly recommend. It's just the best stuff, and you will laugh your arse off,
Harsh.
and it's just the best.
You know, it's still technically a bad word, mother. Even if it's
Whatever.
spelled Britishly. Stop it.
Britishly?
Uh-huh,
Really?
you put an R in there. Stop it.
I'm
I'll let
sorry.
it slide this one time.
Oh my gosh, I've been cussing this whole episode. I'm sorry.
I have a lot of edits to do, folks. In case you're wondering why it
You gonna
doesn't
beat
quite
it?
sound right, hijinx probably cussed.
I'm sorry, but I'm really
She's
upset about
in a
TWAP.
mood today. I told you she shredded the wrapping paper.
Anyway, so yeah, TWAP is the one that I miss the most out of everything.
It
Definitely.
sounds pretty awesome. I wish I could have been around. Well, I was around, but like experience it, I guess.
What I mean, we would because after an episode would air, you know, it would generally take because we didn't have we didn't really have. I don't think they would do like live because this was before like the whole Twitter thing too.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it'd usually take them a day or two before they would do a. I take it back. They would do like a snippet,
Mm-hmm.
like day after an episode aired. They would do a snippet of like maybe a two or three sentences synopsis, as a placeholder for the snarky episode breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
And then it usually took them 2 to 3 days to do like, I mean, and they would do a full episode synopsis. So, I mean, it's fully spoilery, but it's them just
Ooh.
snarking about the entire episode. So, I mean, they will review the entire episode. And like I said, I mean, sometimes, like I said, it really depended on I mean, they had multiple people, obviously, because they covered like everything. And that might have been maybe they just spread too thin by trying to cover like every single freaking show. But
Fair.
well, I mean, but it had to be shows that you could snark about. I mean, obviously they're not covering the news,
Well, why not?
but I know. I mean, but they covered just about every show that you could make fun of. And I mean, anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna have to as soon as we get done, I'm gonna have to bookmark that so when you come down, I can show you and you can appreciate. and feel my pain.
Speaking of pain, do we have anything else? Any other sites or anything like that that you guys used quite a bit in 2004?
Well, I'm not giving it like specific years. That's just the stuff that I could think of off the
I
top
know.
of my head.
YouTube wouldn't launch for another year at this point. Well, I guess it's only like 2 or 3 months at this point, 20 years ago, that YouTube would launch. But
I only
then
vaguely remember YouTube coming about.
Twitter would come out in 2006, and along with Wattpad. Wattpad came out in '06.
I don't think I messed with Wattpad. I remember Twitter coming out, and I remember YouTube coming out. I didn't really use either of them very much.
Hmm.
I mean, in the beginning, I can't really.
Was
So we had,
MySpace a big thing? Did you have your top eight? Was
I
Tom your friend?
did, I did have MySpace. I
Was
did
it
have Tom was
obnoxiously
my
loud
friend.
like I've seen people's?
Yeah, I mean, well, because when you would go, yeah, playing music.
Oh, what music did you have? Do you remember? Or did you not do that?
I did. I mean, usually it was just like, what are you listening to right now? Is what you would have on there. I mean, some people obviously would have like really loud stuff, but it was just you would put on whatever you were,
Jamming.
if I remember. Yeah, if you were on there, you just put what you're listening to right now.
Hmm.
And I mean, I was friends with, I didn't have like a mass, I was friend, that was where I first connected with some of the guys I went to high school with. And that was like the first time I had kind of connected with them since like post reunion because I'd seen them at like our 10-year reunion, but I hadn't talked to them since. Again, because this is pre Facebook, pre internet. I mean, we had emails and stuff, I guess, but but not even really at the 10-year that I can think of. So I've been 98. Anyway,
Hmm.
but yeah, but MySpace wasn't like massive really for my generation. We did it a little bit, but
So I looked this up because I did have one of these accounts for a while, which is how I now accidentally have a dating profile. My yearbook came out in April of '05. Not sure how many people use it. It's more marketed towards teenagers, but it got rebranded in like 2012 to be a dating site called Meet Me.
oh my God.
But I was on it around like '06, '07, around there. Because I definitely remember being in it in middle school, and then I just stopped using it. Went to go look at it again, and it was a dating website. And my name was.
Does does your husband know?
He's aware. He finds it hilarious. It was like some like kid nickname for me with my last initial, and my picture was an I can has cheeseburger photo of Rar, the little kitten
Yep.
on its side going Rar. So I
There you
I
go.
didn't get any matches, shockingly enough.
Why not? Who wouldn't want to match with that? Right?
So in case you're listening to this and created a my yearbook just because and then forgot about it, you're on a dating website. Just so you know,
That's
they didn't
scary.
delete the profiles.
That's scary. Nope. I can't think of anything else right now. So I'm sure
Okay,
something
well,
else
we've
will
talked for a good
pop
long
up.
while, and we have to record another episode before the night's over. I want to get this all done before midnight, and it's 10:53. So I'm not going to mention if we had anything on any of the socials because I will do that in the next episode because I said so, and I don't feel like pulling it up right this second. So thank you for joining us. I hope you all had wonderful holidays with your family. If not with your families, then by yourself. Do whatever it is you want to do. Drink alcohol. Don't do drugs. Uh, whatever your happy place is. Mine is usually binge watching all the things.
All the
And
things.
we will see you in the next episode. And good night, good morning, whatever it is for you.